Hey everybody, it's Rob here. Today I want to talk a bit about the current state of like class balance in Diablo 4 here before the Gauntlet comes out, and also about pretty big like threads on the forums here. And you can see it here, I think, with this meme. There is a lot of people that are very upset about some of the Barbarian skills or things, and I want to talk about it here a bit. Like you can see here, people, at least on the forums, they have their pitchforks out, like stop the charge bar, Blizzard better nerf Hoda, better take away that leap, man. This is the third freaking season, god damn it. They do way too much damage compared to us. Yeah, people are like pretty mad and then out there with their pitchforks. And yeah, there's been a lot of topics here on the forums as well, where they like complain a lot. Barbarian supremacy can be fixed in one way, and there's a bunch of like topics here, like Barb Nerf when, and just the kinds of thing like the charge Barb needs a nerf match. This is like a very like big topic here. 8K views, I think, for the forum. I mean, generally the forum is a pretty hostile place, but yeah, people are really like upset with with some stuff, and I think the problem is not necessarily the Barbarian, but it's some of the other classes, in particular, like you know, some of the pet builds or something. They just feel like way too weak, right? Because I think this guy here put it pretty well. You know, I'm a Barbarian, I decided to try another class, went back to Barb immediately. I mean, obviously, you know, you guys know my heart lies with the Barb. Like, you know, this is my main class, I like it a lot. And I think they did some pretty good changes. Like, I also, like, left a lot of feedback, you know, on my YouTube videos. We've been talking a lot in the community. And I think Barbarian is in a pretty good spot, similar to, like, how Rogues were, like, around the launch time. I think, like, Rogues also were in a, like, very comfortable spot. But there's some other classes, that have some skills right now that feel rather underwhelming, I think. And I think it should be more, you know, not about like necessarily nerfing the strong builds only. Like, you know, people are really having a lot of fun on the charge bar. People are having a lot of fun on the Hoda barb. You know, some things could be tweaked there. I can definitely see that. But in general, I think the solution is not to nerf the fun and, you know, the joy that players have with lots of these builds, like especially like the changes to charge, I feel have been so cool and so impactful for the game. Especially, you know, the changes that make the gameplay more smooth, where you have like less cooldown reduction or things like that. You know, like you don't have to clunkily like, you know, knock the enemies into the terrain. You can actually just charge them and get the cooldown back. Like these things are really cool, and I think. Like reversing cooldown nerfs in general. This was what they did right before Season 1 in this like big anti-fun patch, where they basically reduced, you know, the amount of cooldown that can roll on items. And I feel in particular, like, you know, they did this with shouts as well, by the way. Like just pressing buttons in general with less cooldown is more fun for the player, right? I feel like, you know, having like skills that have like a minute or half a minute cooldown is already pretty significant. And, you know, they nerfed like a lot of stuff, like the Bolts Chieftain. I'm not sure if I even have it here right now. But yeah, like the cooldown reduction ring has been nerfed, and all these things, like Barb has received like a lot of nerfs. But especially, you know, the Paragon board changes that they did. You guys remember like my old videos, like how bad the Decimator node used to be? And now I think we're finally having like meaningful like legendary nodes here. Also with Blood Rage. And with a bunch of others I've been trying as well. Bonebreaker, like there's finally, you know, some cool and meaningful choices on your Paragon, aside from just, you know, only using glyphs and stuff. So I think they just need to, you know, look more into like what other classes can, you know, learn from the way it was done on the Barb. Particularly like on the Necromancer. Like Necromancer right now, and I feel those people here with the pitchforks and stuff that are just like, you know, they're looking at Charge Barb or at Hoda Barb, and then they are playing their minion Necromancer. And yeah, the minion Necromancer has been pretty weak for like a long time. It can probably use like a 0 or something. And it would also be very cool for, like, let's say the Necromancer to, I don't know, receive some sort of movement speed / mobility. You know, because as a Barb, you can basically like just run like permanently like at max movement speed and things like that. Like it really helps you a lot, and you're also like pretty tanky and stuff. And I think the Necromancer has good damage potential and stuff, but it's just too slow. Like it can't like really like keep up with like, you know, the fast classes in the game. Like it's basically not possible. Also in terms of like you know, just raw stats and stuff. There's definitely some issues there. with the Necromancer. I also remember like the Paragon board being, let's say, not the best at the moment. And yeah, I was like, obviously we will get the Gauntlet here in a couple of days. They probably announce it in the dev stream on this Thursday. But yeah, in the end, I already made like, you know, a tier list draft. And if the content is really focused around speed, you see here the Necromancer build, and I will make an updated video, like once we know exactly what the Gauntlet is. A lot of these will change, like this is just, you know, Copium. We don't exactly know how it's looking yet. But I don't even have any Barb builds in S tier, because what we've seen in the footage for the Gauntlet is speed runs in general. Like it was about Nightmare Dungeon 70 difficulty, and I still hope this is wrong or this is just fake news. Because I don't know, the game is already like very easy, and just having like, you know, a Nightmare Dungeon 70, you know, while even people are running Nightmare Dungeon 100 like very easily, like this has been nerfed so much. And yeah, I feel like if it's a speed focus, Barbarian is not even, you know, gonna win on there. Like if it's DPS focused, okay, Charge Barb Hoda still probably has the highest damage in the game, even though some of the rogues have been pretty close with the new Beast 4 boots. But yeah, overall, like one thing that also is here in this like tier list draft that I made is that Bone Spear, or in general Necromancer builds, are just way too slow. Like, they just don't feel as good as rewarding as many of the other classes. Like with a Sorcerer these days, you're just blitzing through the screen, like you're everywhere, you're just teleporting around, it feels amazing. But yeah, the Necromancer, it lacks DPS, at least most builds, especially minion and pet builds, and the same is true for the Druid in some ways for the pet builds. And it also lacks movement speed. So now they have announced that some of these powers might make a comeback from Season 2. So a lot of people, including myself, are hoping that maybe the Necromancer has a way to get the power of Metamorphosis back on its boots. That would like kind of fit the Necromancer. I don't know, like it turning into a bat/vampire. I don't know, like a little bit at least. Like something like that could also help the Necromancer, like getting a, I don't know, unique boots with the Metamorphosis power that also give you some movement speed or something like that. You know, like you dash and then you turn into bats, you become unstoppable, and then you move around. But because the Necromancer also has this problem where you don't have really a source of unstoppable, while most other classes, like on Barb, you can just charge and you get unstoppable and you get your resources and everything, right? And Necromancer doesn't really have that. So I'm not really sure if it's like completely about, you know, nerfing like the fun and the top classes, the top builds. Like also there's been a lot of talks about just nerfing the Sorcerer, because I'll link here Mekuda's video. Like you just see like how fast these Sorcerer classes like can move around, and this just gets completely crazy in terms of playstyle. This almost looks like Path of Exile in some way, right? Where the gameplay just gets so fast. But I think this is at least what a lot of players enjoy. Like, I think this just feels cool, like, you know, having like very low cooldown, having cooldown resets. To me, like in the end game, it is a cool feature. So this is definitely why Sorc builds are just so good, man. And I think Rogue will also have some. I'm not really like a Rogue expert that much. There's definitely a lot of other people there that have not more knowledge on Rogue. But I feel like the Rogue is a very versatile, well-drafted class now, especially that the ranged Rogue is more viable in comparison to the melee rogue. The melee rogue is still strong with twisting blades, but it's basically been twisting blades forever, and now it's cool to see ranged rogue there. So there's also been pretty cool changes. Same for the Sorc. I think they could still buff it up a bit in some ways, at least in terms of DPS. But yeah, movement speed is insane. Cooldown resets is insane, and I like it. I think that's just adds fun to the game. Right, so there's that part. And then yeah, Druid I think overall is pretty good and fun as well, with like the shred builds. There's like the boulder shred, a couple of cool builds coming out. And yeah, it's really just like the Necromancer. And like, I mean, there was many people, including myself, that didn't really understand, you know, why the hell the Necromancer got a nerf last patch. Like, it was already the worst class performing in AOZ and Abattoir of Zir, and then they nerfed it. Like for example, the corpse explosion and these kind of things, right? So it was very weird. But yeah, I do not think, I do not agree with, like, you know, most of these people like posting these memes with the pitchforks that we need some Barb Nerfs or some, I don't know, Barbarian supremacy must be stopped or something. I think this guy, again, like, hit the spot pretty well, that, you know, a lot of the other skills could just, like, get an overhaul. And yeah, I mean, they did buff charge a lot. There is one small argument that I can see. I'm not really for this, but this one rune here on Hammer of the Ancient is obviously very powerful, right? It gives you 1% multiplicative damage per point of fury that you had when using it. And this usually results into, like, depending on which setup you play, like if I also drink an elixir here, I don't have one right now here, but if I drink a resourceful elixir, I have about 300 fury, giving me, you know, a times 4 DPS multiplier. And I mean, if anything, like, again, I would just like them buffing other builds and stuff. But yeah, this rune seems pretty powerful on the Barb for sure. And yeah, obviously they changed charge to be like a lot of DPS, but they also nerfed a lot of the multipliers. I think the charge playstyle is like pretty cool, pretty, like, you know, unique. We don't really have that much playstyle like this in the game. And I really like, you know, just the fast pace of it and things like that. So overall, again, I would just like to see, you know, more buffs to those like weak builds, in particularly Necromancer, and just bring them up to speed to check out. And hopefully the Gauntlet is also going to be some harder content and not only speed focused, because I actually posted a meme about that on X as well, if you guys have seen, but there's basically no class that is gonna come close to the way the Sorcerer will play out when we have, you know, the Nightmare Dungeon 70 difficulty, because a Sorcerer teleport is unbeatable. It's instant teleport and you don't have any cooldown if you're playing the right build, because you can reset your evades very quickly. So yeah, the Sorc represents using both, and the Necromancer is somewhere in the back, man. I don't know. Well, yeah, that's just my 2 cents on it, guys. We'll see. I'll keep you guys updated with the dev stream. It's gonna happen here on Thursday in just a couple of days. And yeah, let me know in the comments what you think. Do you think that the Barbarian supremacy must end, or that they need to nerf charge Barb immediately? Or, well, what do you think, guys? Let me know in the comments. Take care. GG. If you liked this video, make sure to subscribe, leave a like or a comment. I'm also live on Twitch almost every day, so come and say hi.